from China.
Yeah.
It's UNM.
Oh God. Hello everyone. It is a late night. This is a lot later than we typically stream. But I'm Lonnie.
I'm Amberlicious.
And I'm Ashley.
And we're Untitled Nerd Network, brought to you by Infinity Flux and your local satanist at Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's really a healthy mix. As you can see from the top, spoilers for Endgame. Do not watch this if you have not seen Endgame, or if
You don't want it spoiled.
yeah, basically if you don't want it
If you
spoiled.
don't want it spoiled,
Because
Turn away now.
turn right now.
we do have a lot of fans on the page who really don't give a crap about watching this movie, but they watch our reviews of it just to keep in touch with what's going on.
Yep.
So, but yeah, spoilers. Yep. You might as well just go ahead and do that, Chris. He said, that typically happens. People hop in to say hello.
Hello.
Say hi and leave.
Goodbye.
But we're going to be giving our review. We're actually not going to be doing it too long because both of them have to be up for work. And I'm going to be running around doing job hunting tomorrow. So,
I told you where to go.
Huh?
I told you where to go.
Hell no. Don't even joke. See, you get on to me about joking about stupid crap. That's something that I'm not.
You didn't list it, so that was your fault.
Yeah, I'm good.
Sorry.
But anyway, I ain't not working with kids.
It'd be great in the infant room. You could just hold babies all day.
But we are okay. We just got back from the 3-hour-long Endgame. Without giving away too many spoilers right off, there was not a post-credit scene. There was not. There wasn't. They didn't really need it.
I mean, it's the end of the story arc, right?
Yeah,
So.
but from what I understand, the new Spider-Man movie is supposedly taking place like minutes after this movie ended. But
It's still end of the story arc, so.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just not a big fan. Like I'm sure once I see the movie, it'll be good, but I'm not real big on them, calling it Endgame and then having Spider-Man Far From Home happen right after it.
Yeah, I agree. Agree.
But
Yeah, whatever.
But hello to everyone in the chat. We're gonna probably keep the chat talk to a minimum. We're gonna try to stay on point, and just kind of blast through this, talk about our favorite parts, give it a grade, summarize the movie, and then we're gonna be wrapping. I figure 15, 20 minutes at most is what we're gonna be spending. So
That's more than
basically, in a nutshell, spoilers from here on. You have the Avengers, everybody that's left. Like Captain Marvel shows up, rescues Tony Stark at the beginning. I think everybody pretty well called that one. She shows up, rescues Tony, and then brings the ship back to Earth.
And Nebula.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, did you
She
notice?
was a huge part of this movie.
Yeah,
is. I
Nebula
really
was a
enjoyed
big
it.
part. And did y'all notice that about 90% of what was in the trailer was not in the movie?
I very specifically
I mean, I don't
did
remember
not
the trailer,
watch the trailer.
So.
As much as I
Oh,
did.
well,
Yeah, pretty much. I think I might have watched it once.
Me too.
And then didn't watch it again
I-
because I wanted
Because of that
no
reason.
spoilers.
Yeah.
So.
there was, remember the, at the end of Captain Marvel, there's that little scene where they're all in there discussing stuff and she pops up and asks, "Where's Fury?" That never did happen.
That's true.
That was an end credit scene.
Yeah, but it didn't happen.
So it was a preview. That's what happened before the movie.
Wait, it did happen before the movie.
Yeah.
Because how else would she have known to go get Tony?
Exactly.
Okay.
Ooh,
Well, they
it's
still
fine.
they still played it out like that was part of the movie. Like, oh, it's a scene from Endgame. But a lot of the stuff that happened in the trailer never happened in the movie. It's just, and that's the new Marvel way. I've already heard that they are purposefully filming stuff
For the trailer.
for the trailer
and
to
they're not putting it in the movie.
yeah, to where
But
people
that kind of
I
makes
love
sense,
that,
though.
honestly.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. totally throws you off the scent of where they're going, and it works. I liked it.
Who the hell is Amy Pond? Anyway, I'm not. No offense, y'all, but I'm not gonna acknowledge a whole lot of what's said in the chat tonight.
It's okay, I
Like
will.
like hello to y'all and thank you for joining us. But we kind of got to stay on track because otherwise,
If it has to do with the movie, we are staying on track.
yeah.
So.
But yeah, they end up bringing them back. They just decide, hey, let's go get the stones from Thanos. They show up. Thanos has already destroyed the stones. They kill Thanos, or better yet, Thor does.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was pretty, like, that all happened in like the first 25, 30 minutes of the movie.
Right? I was like, what?
Yeah, then you're like,
if this is all happening now, I can't imagine what's gonna happen at the end. Like, this is gonna be great.
But yeah, they end up killing Thanos at the very beginning of the movie, and then 5 years pass, and Tony Stark, has a kid and all this other stuff. Just life progressed. Hawkeye, Clint, he is that's the Ronin character that everybody was just losing their shit about over the last few weeks because they saw some stills and maybe a little bit in a trailer, I think. Personally, I didn't give two craps about Hawkeye in this movie.
You didn't. You never do.
I didn't, and I honestly thought that him being,
I like him.
a edgy badass might change my opinion, but aside from his scene where he goes back in time just to test the time travel theory and sees his family for a little bit, I mean, yeah, and I knew whenever he was out there at the very beginning of the movie with his family doing a picnic and everything.
Oh, God, yeah.
I knew exactly what was going to happen. And for some reason, that had zero emotional effect on me.
Because you don't like him. That's why.
I guess.
It ain't no guess.
I mean, it is, but I didn't.
You don't like him.
I think it was like emotional overload. I'd already experienced so many people losing loved ones and everything.
If it had been somebody you cared about, you would have been emotional. You don't give a crap. You already said you don't give two shits about it.
Yeah.
So when you don't care about it, it's just like, when I said I didn't give two shits about Jean Grey and Cyclops, I don't care. I don't care what happens to them. I don't care if they die. I don't care if they get married. I don't care what they do.
I mean, like, Hawkeye could have died in this movie and we'd never see him again, and I would have been totally okay with that. But instead, Hawkeye did not die. The one person who did die was Tony Stark, and that was his
But he died a bigger hero than he ever was.
Oh yeah. The entire movie series began with Iron Man.
Either.
What?
Because the two people who died for the Soul Stone stayed dead.
That's true.
Okay, yeah.
Natalie.
Gamora never came back.
Yeah. Well, technically she didn't come back.
That's past Gamora.
Yeah, past Gamora, who didn't know who Quill was.
Yeah. So that whole dynamic.
That doesn't count.
That whole dynamic's like completely starting over now. Like they had kind of found each other, and now in this movie, you've got past Gamora, and then of course Black Widow ends up dying, which, like, that whole scene was pretty cool because her and Hawkeye fought back and forth about who was going to make the jump.
Which I personally think it should have been him. And I like him. But I really think it should have been him.
I figured, I honestly didn't know going in who was going to die to them two. I thought they might have like thrown us a curveball or something and just done something out of the way that you wouldn't have expected. But no, she ended up dying. And I think the reasoning behind that is because she's like a secret agent. She has, she doesn't have...
She's eating something.
Quit, Freya.
Thank you.
I think she actually picked it up and ran with it.
I think you're right.
But she didn't have a family. She didn't have anybody to go home to. She didn't have any kind of relationships, outside of the Hulk.
Yeah, and he was upset about that.
Yeah, he was very upset. But at the same time, you had a dude who's married with several kids and all
But
that.
it would have been more tragic though if he had died.
Yeah, it would have been. But this movie already had lots of tragedy.
Well, I mean, they both wanted to, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
They both wanted to make the sacrifice
Yeah.
for it, but she said that, because Hawkeye had kind of long given up, not given up, but wanted to back out of the Avengers. We saw that in Age of
Sure.
Ultron,
Yeah.
Where he wanted to just get married and have kids and live on this, ranch house out in the nowhere.
Oh, it sounds like a plan living out in the middle of nowhere. Anyway.
But anyway, he was kind of backing out already, whereas Black Widow was in it the whole time, fighting for a way. She was the one keeping everyone together,
That's
keeping
true.
communications going.
Yeah.
She really felt like it was her obligation as the one who was continuing, to keep everyone together to make the sacrifice.
Sure.
So it was a noble thing, not like, oh, I dislike this character more. They should have done it.
So after we get the Thanos thing, 5 years pass. Okay, now really quick, you get Scott Lang, Ant-Man, who ends up
God, I love him.
like getting released from the quantum realm. Now tell me this, like, did it just happen automatically, or was that freaking rat walking around on the touch screen what
He was
caused?
walking. Yeah, the rat caused it.
So it was just by chance.
It was by chance.
Okay, because that
Totally
was
by chance.
that was a problem for me. I was like, really? But I guess it was 5 years.
It was 5 years. It was in a junkie pile.
Yeah.
Where rats like to live. I mean. So yeah.
So we have that. He pops up with the plan. Oh, we can use the quantum realm. We go back in time. Hulk is actually smart. Like, it's basically Bruce Banner's mind in Hulk's body.
Which
I
was
thought,
really cool.
yeah,
I really
that
liked
happened
it.
in the comic books quite a bit. And there were rumors going around that was going to be the case, but that was one of those rumors that happened to be true, and it was cool. I like seeing it. Did they make him look more like?
Mark Ruffalo, yes.
Yeah, he didn't normally look like him.
And the other movies.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and look. But I was looking. I was like, God, it's almost like they just took his face and painted it green.
Pretty much.
Yeah, because he didn't look that much like that, even in Infinity War.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that was like just a sign. Oh, he's more Bruce. But
There he
Yeah,
is right
that's
there.
what
You
it
can see
is.
it. Look, right there. He doesn't look like Mark Ruffalo there at all. Looks like a Hulk.
Yep.
yeah, he's got more of like a pronounced forehead. He's got kind of like that Ted Danson look.
And you saw that in the Endgame too, when they went back in the past. You saw the regular.
Oh
guy.
yeah. He did look way different.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was to give Hulk a more Bruce feel.
Yeah.
To let him, I thought it was so cool. He was taking picture with the kids and just really accepting it, and it's great.
And they decide basically they're going to go back in time. They're going to gather all the Infinity Stones from like different points in time, and then, which is basically like a greatest hits of the MCU. And then they're going to bring them
really
to the
cool.
present. They're going to undo the snap, and then they're going to take the stones back to the exact point in time and place. And I'll go ahead and tell you, the time travel portion, which was about an hour of the movie, was some of the best MCU filming I've ever seen.
It was such a mind fuck.
It was
really good.
It
I
was
really enjoyed
God. It was so good, and I love my two favorite parts. Number one, Hulk, Bruce trying to act like mean Hulk.
That was so funny because he had already come to peace with himself, and he didn't know how to be angry anymore.
Yeah, he was just out there just and just slamming a car, and he went.
Really, it was like if you pretended to be the Hulk.
Yeah, basically.
Yes, that's what I thought. That's exactly what I thought.
And then my other favorite part is when Captain America is trying to get the I believe it's the Mind
scepter.
Stone.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's trying to get the
Scepter.
the scepter, and he's like he's in the he's in the elevator with a bunch of Hydra agents, but because he has they're looking at all these guys, oh, these guys ended up being Hydra later. So he tells the the dude. I can't remember the bald dude with the glasses.
Sitwell, Agent Sitwell.
Okay, yeah, and because he ends up standing in there with them, and he says, "Hey, I need the scepter. It's going with me." And they're like, "Oh no, we're gonna have to call the director about that." And he was like, "No, Hell Hydra." And they're like, "Oh yeah, here you go, man." And he just walks out with
No
it.
freaking problem.
That was
It was
such
so
a cool
funny.
nod to the comics. That like one super controversial panel from Secret Empire.
Oh yeah, it was just
out of that.
absolutely to have him say that.
It was amazing.
Because in Secret Empire, for anybody who's watching who's not familiar, Captain America was a Hydra agent for about a year in the comics, and that was kind of crazy, but it was neat to see that.
Another thing I liked from the comics too was Captain America wielding Mjolnir.
Yeah, I had a feeling that was gonna happen,
The whole theater went nuts.
It was great. That was one of my favorite parts.
That was, yeah, I'd say.
Oh my
3
gosh.
moments
And
in
then
the
Thor
movie
was
was
like,
in
"You
there.
are worthy. I knew it." And that was great.
that was
That was one of my favorite parts.
look. I'll go ahead and tell y'all, like, right. Oh, but I will say, here's the thing, they're gonna do some stuff going forward, and Disney Plus is gonna do that Loki series. Is it just Loki, or is it some Loki and? No, it's Winter Soldier and Falcon, which we know now Falcon is going to be Captain America. And I heard, what was it?
It was Joel.
Yeah, Joel was talking about how he was really disappointed
Bucky
that it
was supposed to get it.
Yeah, it was not going to be Bucky.
Yeah.
Look, in the comics, Captain America died. Bucky took over as Captain America for like 2 months. But the only person to really have a good, solid run as Captain America was Sam Wilson, Falcon. He became Captain America. And that was very recent. I mean, Falcon was Captain America a hell of a lot more than Bucky was. So I'm totally good with it. That's the next logical step.
Speaking of Loki,
Loki.
there's a Loki.
Joe said
Oh,
Loki's
there you go.
Playhouse. I'd watch shit out of that. I sure would.
That would be pretty good, wouldn't it?
I love it.
Loki's Playhouse. It's
Love
probably going to be. But what I was getting at there
Not to get
is,
off topic.
if you
Sorry.
remember, in that scene in New York, the Tesseract got kicked around. Loki grabbed it and
Disappeared.
teleported out. So
was like,
that is a
what
change
on
to the
earth?
timeline that's going to have to be addressed going forward, because Loki got the Tesseract right after the Battle of New York, and instead of being put up, he escaped, and that's going to completely reset everything from the Battle of New York onward. So it's going to be crazy, and I know there's no way they could really address it, and Captain America ended up being the one to take the stones back in time and put them back where they belong, and he decided to stay there. So, like, not without getting too technical about time travel and the
No, yeah. let's
all
not
the
even do
craziness and the paradox and
physics.
yeah, he goes back and he decides to stay, and he stays with Peggy Carter, and they do their thing, and they get that dance scene, which you knew was, I would have bet money that was going to happen. I didn't know how, but I'm happy that he got to stay. And so they're all sitting around at Tony Stark's funeral at the very end, and Falcon and Bucky are standing there, and they just kind of look over, and there's old Steve Rogers sitting at the edge of the lake on a bench, and they walk up to him, and he was like, "Here, I got the shield and everything." And I'm like, if that's the case, then why do y'all not, like, the only thing I can think of is that Steve Rogers went back in time. He didn't do any heroics. He didn't do anything. He just went back in time, got with Peggy, and that was it. He didn't make a big impact or anything. Because otherwise, if he had, they would have remembered, memories and just, okay, whatever.
I think you just let it go.
Yeah. I knew Captain America was gonna stay back in time, but I didn't know how. And
We're at 20 minutes.
okay, yeah, we're at 20 minutes. So really quick, y'all. Basically, you have Act 1, Thanos gets killed. Act 2, they go back in time. Act 3, I'll go ahead and tell
Thanos
y'all
gets killed again.
at the very end when they undo the snap, Tony,
Yes.
they undo the, no, Tony ends up killing everybody, like all the bad guys.
Yes.
But
Him taking the Infinity Stones and putting it on his Iron Man suit was just amazing.
that was pretty cool.
It was awesome.
But what got me was when everybody came back into existence, and like you've got like 200 portals opening up from Doctor Strange, and everybody from the entire history of the MCU on the good guy side.
I was crying.
I lost it. I was like, oh my God, this is the moment that 22 films
Have come together for
built right there. That was the scene. And I was just like, oh God.
Yeah, I cried.
Oh, I'll go ahead and tell you, they're not going to be doing any kind of movies with, Cap through the years. Chris Evans is done with the role, and I don't see him ever putting it back on for any kind of movie or anything. That's going to be one of those things that's just left up to our imaginations. And I'm curious as to how this movie is going to affect everything going forward. I'm curious as to how it's going to affect Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., although you probably have some insight that I'm still a season and a half behind. But yeah, it was a very emotional ending to the movie. And Chris Evans on Twitter, like earlier this week, said that, I think he said the last 8 minutes of the movie, in his opinion, was the best 8 minutes of any Marvel movie. I don't know if I agree with that, because I wasn't a real big, to me, you know how like people complain about Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, having like 17 different endings. I kind of got that feeling with this movie. I like the Captain America thing, but I don't know. I feel like they may have drug it out a little bit. Like,
well, I don't know. I disagree, but that's because Captain America is my favorite Avenger. I like the time that they spent on his character, knowing you're going into the movie knowing that this is his last role as Captain America.
Yeah.
So like I want to see some damn dialogue and resolution and
they
closure,
had to wrap all that up.
and they did a really good job of that.
yeah, they did. I think, realistically, I think this is one of those movies that I'm going to enjoy. I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. Just like this movie gets an 11. They couldn't have wrapped 22 movies worth of story any better.
Agreed.
They couldn't have done it any better.
Pretty much. There's nothing I would have changed or added.
This movie has made me want to, number one, rewatch a few of the old movies.
Yeah.
And definitely, I want to see this one again, because the whole...
I had a friend's night that watched it and then went and watched it again right after.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I can't do that.
Hell no.
Right now?
That's a lot of movie. But I don't know, maybe I'm just not smart enough to comprehend it, but the whole time travel thing kind of messes with me. And anyway.
Don't you love the examples they gave of time travel? All these movies.
All the other movies.
Yeah, and Ant-Man actually tried to say Die Hard, and he was like, wait, no.
That's not it. I love him. I do.
No. Here's the thing. Like, just before we wrap, this is the end of the story. This is Endgame. This is it. There's basically one day soon. There's going to be a 22 movie box set, and it's going to be called the Infinity Saga. Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, all together. Technically, Spider-Man Far From Home is the end. It's going to be the final. I think I read that somewhere. It's technically going to be the. You know how like Ant-Man was right after Age of Ultron?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it was. Like Age of Ultron was technically the end of Phase 2.
You could end.
But Ant-Man was the bookend to it.
Yeah, you could end, after watching Age of Ultron and be done. You don't need Ant-Man to wrap up Ultron. Yeah. I don't think we're going to need the Spider-Man movie to wrap up Endgame.
The final Stan Lee cameo.
Oh my God.
Where it's him and I guess like his girlfriend, wife, whoever. And he's kind of like this old hippie dude. It's 1970. Tony and Steve have gone back in time to the 1970s on a S.H.I.E.L.D. base to get the Tesseract because Loki disappeared with it in the Battle of New York. So they're like, oh, plan B. We got to jump back to 1970 and get it from here. Tony actually meets his father.
That was really cool.
Yeah, that everybody got a lot of good closure in this movie.
Yes, it was great.
And I think at the point where Tony met his father and had a heart-to-heart and was able to hug him, I was like, well, yeah, Tony's going to die now. You know,
Pretty much.
that was that at that moment I
Pretty
knew that it
much.
wasn't going to end well for him because
Yeah.
his story came full circle. He had closure, he had peace. He had a kid of his own. He got to talk to his dad about it. And I mean, granted, his dad knew he was familiar, but he didn't know that it was Tony Stark there in front of him.
He did the heroic thing, even though he never wanted to be painted as like a hero.
Yeah.
And he was, I think he was plagued, you know, for a long time, by things that he wanted to do
Mhm.
going in a really bad direction,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah.
So now, this is the thing that he did. It was bad thing, you know, quote unquote bad thing by dying, you know, see
Yeah.
what it did to everyone else. But this is the first time that he's done something that wasn't in his own best interest and was for the greater good.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a nice little
It was. It was a very
little bow tie on the
selfless
story.
act, and I loved it.
Just unlike him.
Yeah.
And like, there's no telling where the story's going to go from here. What do y'all give it? Scale of 1 to 10. What do we got here?
11.
I give it a 10.
Yeah, I'm giving it 11 too. I can't. I'm very surprised you're not giving it a
10 out
solid
of 10
perfect.
is a perfect score.
Yeah, but there's always that above and beyond. Oh, here's one.
several-
I don't
things
like
that
what they did
pushed
with
it.
Thor.
You don't?
No.
That was pretty comical and suiting of Thor, though.
I liked it just because it was 5 years. He had completely given up, and it was natural. It was believable.
Oh my God! I tell you what, when he was talking to his mama, I lost it.
Me too.
That was
such a tearjerker part. Oh my god.
yeah. Well, especially if you've experienced loss like that and you crave to do something like that, and he got to do it on screen. It was amazing.
I'll say, like, you know, we're kind of rushing through this, but there are a ton of like conversational plot points that we could discuss.
Not to mention, we haven't even talked about freaking Captain Marvel.
Yeah, true. She had a very small. No,
Well, she didn't have a small role. It's
Yeah.
just, she didn't have a lot of screen time.
Yeah, she
but
didn't
her
have a lot of screen time,
time
and that
was
really.
so intense.
Yeah.
She basically saved the day. Honestly.
She's like stupid strong.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
She puts everybody to shame.
She
on
does.
set. She does.
Like bringing that freaking airplane just down to earth and just boop,
That
done.
was great.
done. Like kicking the shit
She
out
was
of Thanos.
blasting through, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is awesome."
I love her haircut in this movie.
Sassy.
More true to comics. So I don't know.
No, God, no, dude. Look, I'll go ahead and tell you, Joel. Don't get your hopes up on anything like that. The
On what?
like
The next Avengers movie,
Thor-
The Search for Spark,
Thor.
which it's a play
Ah.
because you know the search for Spock.
Yeah, I know, but Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, Black Widow. I've even heard that Mark Ruffalo is done. You've pretty much seen the last of the original Avengers.
Well, I
Listen,
couldn't
there's
imagine.
the shot. Like during the battle scene, they had. And I don't know anything. This is why I don't follow people's contracts and stuff. But they did this like pan over, where they had Scarlet Witch. Because I leaned over to Amberlicious and I said something about it. I was like, "It's all women." It's like
Yeah.
all the-
They made it
Pepper
a
Potts was there. The women from Black
That's another
Panther.
thing. Pepper Potts was rocking
I
it.
know.
She was awesome.
Yeah. Who else was there?
It's just funny because Tony said she never wore anything. He got her.
well. It was practically every woman,
Yeah.
every
Every
female
strong female
superhero.
lead,
I
Yes.
just said all the women at
Yeah.
the MCU
Yeah.
just kind of panned over, and then they
That
just
was
went
great.
and kicked ass. It was great,
It was
and
awesome.
yeah, I loved that.
So movie was great. I'm sure at some point over the next week. I'm not like I've been promising everybody. Oh, we're not going to be throwing spoilers out there. This this place right here is where everybody can post spoilers in the chat, all that good stuff. But I was like, hey, we're gonna make this like a spoiler free page through not this coming Monday, but the next Monday after that, just to give everybody some time. Uh, just because everybody's like, I had a lot of people in a comment thread today that were like, we're gonna have to mute your page for like the next week and a half because I'm not gonna be able to see it. And it was like a good number of people saying that, so I was like, oh, y'all, we'll just hold up.
Yeah.
I was like, don't go muting our page. I was like, spoilers in this video only, and in the chat below it, and that's it. I was like, we're not going to be doing spoilers till like the first Monday of May. So,
Speaking of spoilers, I had this movie spoiled for me.
it was accurate.
It was accurate. It was my own fault, and I read a status that I shouldn't have on Facebook. So don't be a dick and post it as your status or post it in a group unless someone asks you for it. Holy shit. Yeah, I had
It's
this.
not nice.
It's not. Especially when you know, like, whole ass countries aren't even getting released yet. You know. Anyway, give your friends and family time to see this movie. Don't be a dick and spoil it.
Well, there's also a GIF floating around that people are posting that this is another thing. Of course, if you're watching at this point in the video, it doesn't matter to you, but spread the word because there is a GIF of apparently this woman. It shows her from the back, like basically her back, her butt, that kind of thing, and she's body painted like Wonder Woman. And they say to click on it to get the animation, but when you do, apparently a major Endgame spoiler pops up.
Oh God, that's awful.
I don't know if it's like Tony Stark dying or if it's something happening. But anyway, it's somebody's sly way of sneaking spoilers in for people who click on the animation. So
I just thought of another cool thing.
but matter of fact, somebody got banned for that today because I saw it in our comment thread, and I was like, oh, hell no. I didn't even click on it. I just, held it down, ban, delete.
Yeah. Speaking of the Hulk, I really liked seeing him in the Hulkbuster. Very beginning of the movie, just busted in. It was when Thor killed Thanos for the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
He was in that Hulkbuster, and I was like, hell yeah.
And then that was 5 years later he came to terms with how to be Hulk.
Yep.
But Smart Hulk. What they call Professor Hulk.
I still like the Hulkbuster.
It was great.
Yeah. But yeah.
Back to the Future, if I'm not mistaken, isn't Back to the Future a 20th Century Fox thing? Well, they mentioned.
I was gonna say I don't remember who put it out.
Well, I know Alien. I don't think they have to own the movies to be able to make a reference, because they made an Alien reference in Infinity War.
Yep.
And I
You
don't.
ever seen that old movie Alien?
Yeah, well, like to that. I mean, in all honesty, that movie came out before I was born, before
It
any of
did.
us were born. So,
It did, but not that long
but
before
for
I was
Tony
born.
Stark,
Let's just.
yeah, I think it was like 79 or something.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we are going to go ahead and wrap.
Yeah,
We went
probably do.
we went way over what we were going to
Well.
by about
I mean,
10 minutes.
You
But
know.
this was really the most important MCU movie out of the, like, plot wise of the 22. This was the end of it, and I also thought it was fitting that it began with Iron Man and essentially ended with Iron Man.
Yeah.
That was.
I'm not ready for it. Emotionally, I'm just not ready for it to be over. I'm like, these are just Marvel deaths, right? Someone's gonna bring them back. Iron Man's gonna come back.
Going
Captain
forward,
America's gonna come back as the young man again.
Oh, gosh.
going forward in the movies, the only movie we've only got two movies that are 100% confirmed. That is Spider-Man: Far From Home. It's coming out in a couple of months, and then we know for a fact they're working on Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which, from the look of it, what do they say? Asgardians of the Galaxy. That's actually a comic book called Asgardians of the Galaxy. And it's like a bunch of Asgardians with some of the members of Guardians of the Galaxy. They're doing their thing. But I think we've only got those two movies. I'm hearing that they're going to do like an Eternals movie and a couple of other movies. But they're properties that I have zero knowledge about, zero interest in. And I'm wondering, going forward, will Marvel, the MCU, be able to capture the magic, of what they had? Because they're not going to have Captain America. They're not going to have Iron Man. And I got my hopes up hoping to see some kind of Fantastic Four or X-Men reference in this movie. That did not happen.
No, but we saw that trailer for Dark Phoenix.
Yeah, you did see the trailer for Dark
And
Phoenix.
I can't wait.
I know, it looks great.
Oh my god.
I hope y'all are right.
I love X-Men. I love all the X-Men movies.
I love the X-Men movies too, but I'm just not feeling too good about this one.
Why?
It's like a lame duck, because Fox has already gotten rid of the franchise. It's pretty well done. So
And?
I'm just not excited about it, because I know it's not going to count for anything in the long run.
I can't wait for Godzilla, King of the Monsters either.
Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap, everybody. So
Joel gave it a 9.5. How about that?
yeah, I mean,
It's not his favorite.
No, it's not my favorite. It's not even my favorite of the Avengers, the 4 Avengers movies.
I will agree with that. I really think Infinity War is better.
I think Infinity War's better.
I do.
I think the original
But
Avengers
this was
is
still
better.
really, really good.
I think Infinity War is better too, but I think this movie is better than Captain Marvel. Like my top,
I'll agree with that.
my top 3 are Infinity War, Endgame, Captain Marvel. Those are my top 3 right now. So, which to be still for Captain Marvel to be 3rd place out of 22 movies, still fairly respectable.
It is.
So anyway, we'll see everybody later on. We'll I guess the next major movie we'll be doing is Dark Phoenix.
Pop.
Yeah, that'd probably
When's that coming out? May?
June 19th.
June 19th?
Yeah, it comes out in June.
Yeah,
and Godzilla comes out in May.
I'm almost positive Spider-Man comes out in July. I think.
What about that lame ass Men in Black movie preview they showed?
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth's in it, so I don't know.
It's Thor and Valkyrie fighting aliens.
I know.
Yeah. Well, see,
I'm big on that, honestly.
I didn't care much for the originals with Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones.
Okay, that's lame.
I just didn't.
Anyway.
I didn't care for any of them, and they
The first one I really liked. The second one was okay.
first one was
I've not
decent. The
watched
second
the other
one
one.
was kind of And didn't they have a third one?
They did, but I've never watched it.
Oh, I watched it, but I didn't. Yeah,
Because I was just like, really? Another one? They really didn't.
yeah,
do
we're
another
off
one.
track again. We'll see everybody later. I'm Lonnie.
I'm Overlicious.
I'm Ashley.
And we're Untitled Nerd Network,
Oh, we're
brought to you by
tired.
Infinity Flux and your local Satanist. We'll see everybody maybe Saturday? Yep, we'll see everybody then. See you later.
I hope so. I want to do the Orville.
Yes,
Oh,
the Orville.
yeah.
The Orville Saturday. Bye.